everyone. My name is Elynn, and I'm a product manager here at Figma on Figma's internal design systems team. Everyone in this room has probably had at least one interaction with another team or a teammate where you're just trying to answer the question, why? Why does it matter if I use the design system? Something we talk a lot about on my team is how to help people reach an ideal state, even when it's hard to do that. Today, I'm going to share a few things that I've learned here at Figma doing that. But before we jump in, I'll let you in on a little secret. For a long time, Figma didn't really have a robust design system, which I know is probably a little weird coming from me at a design systems conference, but hear me out. For a long time, we were a small team with one product, and all of our components could fit in one Figma file. Even though there wasn't a centralized code version of our design system, this was OK, because the team was small and the product was small, so there wasn't really much deviation. But as Figma grew and the number of products grew, so did our set of components and UI surface areas. And on top of this, our design system only lived in Figma files. Product teams maintained their components for themselves, which led to cases where components that looked the same behaved differently in different parts of the product. Over time, the lack of consistency started to slow product teams down and created a tax on the teams to maintain their surface areas. So what did we do? We built a team, we put a team together, we looked through every single Figma file, we translated everything we knew about design systems into code. And since then, it's been smooth sailing. And we've all been sitting on the beach, eating tacos, chilling. And that's it. Thanks, guys. Just kidding. As you probably know, designing and building the design system is only half the battle. You also have to get teams to use it, and that's the other half. While everyone liked the idea of a design system, not everyone was using it. Some teams didn't realize that their use cases were already supported, and others just didn't have time to go back over existing surfaces and to use the new components. So, how did we get engineers to adopt the design system in code as naturally as designers use the Figma version across both new and existing surfaces? We could have gone around and said, hey, everyone, use the design system. But that's not really how adoption works. So instead, we took a step back, and we said, OK, if our design system is a product, and our product teams are our users, what would make them actually want to use the design system? And for us, it was accessibility. Accessibility is something that everyone at Figma deeply cares about. And on top of that, accessibility has real, tangible user and business impact. There are over 1 billion people in the world who live with some form of disability. And many regulated industries, like government and finance, have requirements that purchased software must be accessible. While not every accessibility issue could be solved at the component level, the vast majority could. Our design system gave us a way to scale those fixes. By improving a component like a button or a menu once, we could instantly improve every instance of it across the product. Investing in accessibility at the design systems level gave us leverage. It allowed us to drive consistency, improve developer and designer velocity, and make Figma's products more inclusive in a scalable way. But that's not all. Leaning into accessibility also created alignment and made decision-making much easier for both our team and our partner teams. For our team, it clarified what to focus on first. We realized that updating our design system components to optimize for accessibility could drive value across the company. So we prioritized getting existing components up to WCAG standards and building new ones where we saw an opportunity to deliver on our goals quickly. Accessibility also helped other teams understand the value of migrating to the design system. For example, some teams were initially hesitant to adopt the design system on existing surfaces, which made sense. It meant trading off new features for migration work. And while improving quality sounded really nice, it wasn't immediately clear what the near-term benefit was going to be. One of the most effective ways we helped teams understand the potential impact of this work was by connecting them with impacted users. When customers reached out with accessibility feedback, we invited partner teams directly into those conversations. Hearing concerns and feedback firsthand built empathy and a shared sense of responsibility. Those conversations also gave us a shared lens for impact, which made it easier for teams to size and prioritize migration and design system adoption work alongside other potential projects and features. Once it was clear that accessibility was impactful work, instead of just another cross-team ask, getting teams to adopt our design system became a lot easier. Once we were aligned on why adoption mattered, the next challenge became how do we enable this work? If teams were already motivated to adopt, we didn't want that momentum to fade when they hit a speed bump. So we asked ourselves, how might we make using the system feel like an upgrade, not extra work? One of the first things we tackled was removing one of the biggest annoyances, the tedious, repetitive, and kind of boring work of migrating. To tackle this, we shared scripts called code mods that would automate much of the migration for engineers. Another challenge was coverage. How do we avoid situations where a team wants to adopt the design system, but is blocked because it's missing a variant? That's where primitives came in. Primitives are unstyled, headless components that handled basic functionality and accessibility support out of the box. While teams still had to implement some things themselves, primitives gave teams flexibility over the styling in the short term while still getting benefits from the system. They also helped us scale faster. By giving teams building blocks they needed sooner, we could also get more coverage for accessibility fixes sooner. Primitives also gave us a way to track examples of where our system has gaps and where we might need to invest in the future. On top of that, our styled components are built on top of the exact same primitives, so the maintenance cost to our team was pretty minimal to share these with other teams. But we didn't just focus on migration work. We also wanted to make sure that engineering and design could stay in sync for forward work as well. One way we did this was by leveraging variables as our source of truth and as a way to automatically keep color, spacing, and type in sync across design and code. For context, designers were using Figma styles, and engineers maintained a separate token spreadsheet, which meant that things could get out of sync very quickly. To solve this, we moved to Figma variables and utilized our REST API and GitHub Actions to automatically update our design tokens in code whenever they were edited in Figma. And to ensure that engineers were instantly able to find the right CSS property in dev mode, we added code syntax to all variables. This significantly reduced the number of questions and confusions engineers had about which tokens to use. And speaking of dev mode, we also leveraged Code Connect to let us link code directly to Figma components, so designers and engineers could be confident they were working in sync. Through everything, we leveraged a central principle for our enablement work. Make it easy to build a beautiful, accessible, consistent UI. Just like we revel in the power of building a truly easy user experience for our users, we shouldn't underestimate the power of ease and reducing friction when it comes to internal adoption. In other words, it's not just enough to align on what's right, you also have to enable what's right. So far, teams have deprecated more than 1,700 code component references, and teams are actively adopting new components in their forward work. But that's not all. One of the most exciting outcomes of our adoption efforts has been how it strengthened other accessibility work happening across Figma. For example, enhanced contrast mode, which works across all Figma products, was built on the variables work we shared earlier, and it would have been much, much harder to ship this feature without those foundational investments. And efforts that didn't involve components, like keyboard controls and improved screen reader support, also benefited from the shared alignment and excitement around accessibility. Alignment and enablement didn't just make products look and behave more consistently or drive adoption of the system just for adoption's sake. They created the foundation for accessibility to scale across the company and ultimately enable more people in the world to use Figma. And that's what I've learned about adoption. It's not just about convincing people to care or mandating an action. It's about rallying around something that everybody already cares about and making it easy to get there. For us, that something was accessibility. For you, it might be something else: performance and reliability, growth, craft, vibes. Whatever it is, find your thing and then make it really easy for everyone to do the right thing. Thank you.